Good morning, everybody. This is Todd Nilson with Catalyzing the Future, and I am excited to be kicking off a brand new series called Building Resilient Online Communities. It's a topic very dear to my heart. I've been working in the online community space for many years now and have advised customers everywhere from being startups to very large enterprise sorts of organizations. And so the idea for this series is around the idea of how do you create more resilient experiences online to connect customers, to connect employees, to make them into more thriving kinds of environments. And so in this series, we'll be addressing that question of, why is it important to build resiliency and why online communities and what exactly are they and what do they mean? So stay tuned for this, and I'll be providing a quick intro right after this. So before we get started, please remember, if you haven't already, to subscribe below and click the little bell there to make sure that you always get reminders whenever we have a new event that's up. So building online communities that are resilient is the question at hand here. With the crises that we had in 2020 and ongoing kinds of upheavals in 2021, and even before that, when there were all sorts of disruptions that were happening in the workplace due to technologies, we came up with the idea of the Catalyzing the Future events. In fact, Sayal here, my dear friend, is the gentleman who came up with the title, for the ongoing series. And the purpose behind it was really to challenge conventional thinking about building more sustainable futures that make sense for us. In fact, one of my future guests, my first guest, Sahana Chattopadhyay, is probably going to be referring to them as regenerative futures and to online communities as living systems. And so we'll be looking forward to talking a bit about that in some of the upcoming episodes here. So the question of online communities is really about, with that greater emphasis that most organizations have on online work right now, or remote work, that greater need to connect globally, your employees and your customers and all of your stakeholders. These kinds of platforms where it's not merely a website or someplace where you're pushing out messages, but it's a place where you're enabling people to have active communication with each other. How we think about these spaces, how we implement them, how we manage them and support them over time has become incredibly important. Technology mediates so many of our social interactions right now. We need to be better as human beings at figuring out how to use these technologies and make them as transparent as they possibly can. And I wanted to bring as many perspectives into this idea of resilient online communities for this particular series. So my first guest, who I already alluded to, Sahana Chattopadhyay, has an extensive background and experience in online community building. She's thought very deeply about it, and one of the reasons I wanted her as my first guest on the show is because she's just got such an incredible perspective. She writes and thinks about how these digital systems work, and some of the language she uses. I think it's really poetic, in fact, how she works and thinks about it. But she's read extensively and deeply about building communities and the necessity of creating safe spaces in order to create really good, powerful experiences. So she's going to be an amazing first guest to kick things off. My second guest is going to be taking a little bit of a different perspective on community building. His name is Nick O'Brien. He is a guy local to me here in Wisconsin who works and lives in Sheboygan, which is the northeastern corner of the state of Wisconsin. And he is working on building entrepreneurial communities. And he's created an online weekly event called The Surge, using Zoom as a platform. But has also connected everybody through his Slack channels as well. I'll be interested in talking to him about what his strategies are for building sort of these hybrid live and online communities? What is that relationship between the two? And how do those things scale over time? I'm going to be really intrigued to have some conversation with him. He's an excellent friend as well. And then finally, the third person that I have lined up is Ash Zeke. And forgive me, Ash, if I get your last name, if I mispronounced that. But Ash and I've worked on some prior projects together. She is an absolutely incredible user experience designer, visual designer, UI UX person. And I think, what I want to get into with her is talking about sort of designing these online spaces and experiences for interaction. And it's a very different aesthetic than designing a marketing website or really kind of any other sort of web platform. And is very different than even a social media platform. So we'll look forward to getting into some of those questions and discussions with her as well. There will probably be some more guests as we go along, but I wanted to give you a bit of a preview before we jumped in. Sahana and I were actually scheduled to talk this morning. If you had it saved, you'll notice that we didn't show up on time, and that was because we had a technical issue with StreamYard, which was entirely my own fault. A stupid step that I took. I put in our background as an overlay, and we weren't finding our video showing up in the stream. So anyways, we've corrected that issue. I won't make that mistake again. And Sahana is going to be rejoining me again on Monday when we're going to have an absolutely wonderful conversation. So until then, I hope that you have an excellent day. I'm gonna make this video a short one, but I'm looking forward to the interactions and conversations which are ahead. And I'm proud that my company, Clock Tower Advisors, can be a sponsor for this particular series. So thank you for tuning into this, whether you're on the live or a replay broadcast for it. Would love to hear your questions about building communities online, whether they're a digital workplace internal to your company or something that is bringing together multiple stakeholders, whether it's a Slack or whether it's a big community built on one of the enterprise platforms like Khoros or Vanilla or any of those. So in the meantime, have an excellent day, and I will see you soon.